Hey everyone, welcome back. And today we're going to look back on the top anime of summer 2024, or at least the ones I looked at. Now, I ended up watching 10 anime from last season, so we're going to do a top 10, and we're going to be starting from number 10 all the way up to number 1. Also, I do just want to say real quick that this is a spoiler warning because I'm going to be talking about some plot points in the series, and it might ruin your, I guess, enjoyment of watching the series with some of these spoilers. So, you have been warned. So, number 10, I had plus-sized elf on here. I just want to first say that I did not know how lewd plus-sized elf was going to be initially. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? By the picture here, whatever, I was expecting some skin. You know, I was expecting some skin. There was straight up nudity in it. Yeah, that happened pretty early on. So, you have, of course, plus-sized elf, the main girl there, the blonde elf that loves French fries. Then we have a dark elf. I'm pretty sure she's a druid, or like she's a plant, okay? The green-haired one. There's a dragon. There's a dog girl. There's an oni. There's an orc. There's a mermaid. There's a kobold. I think there's a cyclops. Yes, yes. And that's most of them. And all of them are somewhat bigger in some ways. Like some of them are more chubby or whatnot. But they are all plus sized. And that is basically what you get from the show. I mean, it's basically like exercising. There's, of course, exercising because the main reason why they are exercising is because our main character, the plus sized elf, she cannot go back to her own world until she loses the amount of weight that she came to this world with. So, she has to be the same weight that she was to go through the portal. So there are points where she will come through the portal, eat a ton of French fries, gain a ton of weight, and then she can't go back until she works it all off. But yeah, that is the gist of the series. Is basically bigger women exercising and stuff like that, and yeah, just being cute. And then I have a meme here behind me that shows elves then being like elves from like Tolkien, like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, to elves now being like Freerin, plus-sized elf, and then other elves. I can see Marcel right behind me from Dungeon Meshi. And yeah, that is plus-sized elf. I would highly, I would recommend it, but the nudity in it, you have to make sure that no one else is watching. So, okay, let's move on to number 9. Okay, number 9 I have on here, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 3. Now, you might be saying, why did I put it for number 9? The main reason why is because there were good series this season, and plus, not a lot happened this season in Reincarnated as a Slime. Like, most of it was festival work, okay? Because they were making a festival and they were inviting tons of countries to come and look and stuff like that. They ended up building a labyrinth that could adventurers could go through and like fight and get resources and stuff like that. They made a tournament, like a coliseum, where they could have fighting tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, and then there's some character stuff that like talking and wise and stuff like that. But yeah, not a lot really happened. Like action-wise, not really anything. But it's still reincarnated as a slime. I still did enjoy it. It was just a slower season, not really a lot of action, fighting, or anything like that. But yeah, so if you did like Reincarnated as a Slime, this one is going to be kind of a slow burner. It's just more of a not really slice of life, but it's like more country building strategy kind of stuff. Because he's not really doing anything outside of his little Tempest area. He's basically just working on the city. I have not read any farther in the manga. This has caught up where I was at in the manga, so I don't really know for sure what comes up next. I kind of hope there's more action in next season. But yeah, that was number 9. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Let's move on to number 8. Okay, so this number 8 I have is Failure Frame. I become the strongest and annihilate everything with low-level spells. So, initially, this is a new one that I have not seen anything else on. Initially. So, basically, it's an isekai, okay? That's pretty easy to understand. Isekai, this guy and his entire class gets transported to this world by the white-haired goddess that's in the picture there. It's pretty easy to understand because in the very beginning, the weakest person gets sent off to a ruins of disposal. And basically, it is a dungeon that has really high enemies that they dispose of people in. And you might be thinking, wow, that's kind of harsh getting transported to the world and getting, like, straight up killed. And yeah, it is. It very much is. So, our main character is the weakest that gets put to the ruins of disposal. And, he only has low-level spells, like I think he has paralysis, poison, and sleep. I think that's the only 3 he has initially. And he gets teleported there, and he is very, very lucky. Because he runs into basically one creature, which is very, very high leveled, and he paralyzes it and poisons it. And it dies of poison. This really high leveled creature stays paralysis and poison until it dies, and then he instantly levels up to a very, very high level. I forget which level he levels up to. But yeah. And basically after killing that one, it's not that hard to kill another one. He does the same thing. He puts paralysis on it, poisons it. Sometimes he puts it to sleep. And he just keeps killing things inside the ruins until he gets to an absurd level. And he finally gets out of the ruins, and his whole plan is that he wants to get revenge on the goddess that sent him down there, that transported them to that world. And so, if you like a revenge story, this is for you. So some of the things he does do is he meets an elf girl. Then he also meets a beast, like a leopard beast woman. So yeah, there's not really much else that happens other than him just being really OP with low-level spells, and that's kind of the title of the series. Oh, he also has a little slime friend, Piggymaru, that he can actually use spells through, so he can increase his range using Piggymaru. So, the only pictures I have here, and you might think it's weird that I have these pictures, but this is one of the weirdest things in the series that I just want to highlight. So, if you see the little white horse, or pony, that you see over there, that is a familiar that he gets, or an animal that he gets later on. So this creature, if he puts tons of mana into it, which he has a ton of mana because he is so strong, if he puts mana into it, then it grows. And it grows into this big horse monstrosity that has 4 limbs. Well, actually, no, it has 6 limbs because it has 4 limbs that are on the ground, and it has 2 limbs on its back. Top. So I don't know. And then it has horns. It's like black and purple, and it is just a monstrosity. And I don't know why this became it. And also, the CGI for it kind of does not look that great. There's not really much to it. It kept your interest because there's some pretty good fights in it that, like, him, like, some fights are fairly good animated and they're very strategic because he has to make sure that he uses the spells at the right time and everything. Also, there is a character that I forget what his exact name is, but he is called Humanity's Strongest. And I think within like the first 5 episodes, he kills the strongest human in the world by paralysis and poison. And that whole like talking to him, and he talks down the guy. Like he basically says here, it's like, oh, you wouldn't want to kill me now until I become stronger. And then that guy's like, you know what? No, I don't want to kill you now because you're not strong enough for me. And the guy starts flying away on his like Pegasus thing, and then our main character straight up poisons him and paralysis and kills humanity's strongest person. And it was just a really good episode. Okay, I think that's the episode that really carries the series. That and the first couple episodes when he's in the ruin to disposal is pretty good too. Um, then also you kind of follow some of the characters that are also transferred there, some of his other classmates, which a lot of them are just straight up assholes. If anything, this reminds me very much of Soma Spider So What, because you go from the main character and then you look from their point of view in a different area, and then you transfer to the rest of the classmates and how they're faring in the world. So you kind of have two groups of people. You have his classmates that are like still around the goddess, and then you have him that has his group that's the Beast Woman, the Elf Girl, and then Piggy Maru and them. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's pretty low on my list just because animation's not really that great on it. It's all right. Uh, and then the story doesn't really have much to it, and the gimmick is it kind of gets old after a while, just using paralysis and poison to kill things. So, yeah, it's one of those things where if you just want something to watch, it's all right. So let's move on to number 7. So, number 7, I have My Wife Has No Emotions. So, basically, the story of this is our main character, our guy there, he lives at home alone and he gets a robot to do cooking for him so that he does not have to cook when he gets home. That's basically the kind of thing. She can also do cleaning and stuff like that, but he has to buy the okay from the company to do also cleaning and stuff, which he doesn't do. So when she cleans, there is an automated message that plays that he needs to stop this automated message, you need to pay to have the cleaning perms, basically. So, he has this robot, and he actually ends up falling in love with the robot. So that's why it's My Wife Has No Emotions, because she's a robot. I feel like they should, My Wife Has Little Emotions, like barely no emotions, because the robot does have emotions, or simulates emotions, I guess, because she does get to the point where she does kind of show love, okay? She shows interest in him and stuff like that, and she actually tries to do stuff for him. Then they also get that little robot thing that's on top of the microwave there in the picture there that basically becomes their child. Um, so he has a robot wife and a little child there, a little like egg child. And that's basically the series. It's basically just him living life with this robot and stuff like that. It's kind of okay. It's kind of sweet, but then also kind of sad to think that you had to get a robot to love you, kind of thing. That's a like okay. None of the series actually says anything like that bad like that, like, oh, it's kind of sad. It's all wholesome, okay? All of it's wholesome. But then after you get done watching it and like me sitting here talking about it, it's kind of a sad existence that having this robot. It is kind of sad. But yeah, then I have some pictures here from the series. So we have this here that is you can do it. Basically, the robot child is like saying that he can do it. He can do anything. He can. I forgot what they were talking about at the point, but like just encouraging him. Encouraging. Yes, that's the word. Then also we have a picture up there that, but there's a girl who will vibrate for me. Yes, his robot wife can vibrate. Which I don't know how that does for their love life, but then we also have over on the far side there that she has waterproofing functions down to a depth of 2 meters. And then there's a picture of her literally underwater in a floaty. And there will be no problem as long as I do not go so deep. So it's all right if she gets wet. But yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed the series. It was I like a nice wholesome series to kind of counteract some of the more heavy-hitting series, the ones that are more action-based or sad or stuff like that. So it's a real good series. I would highly recommend this one. It's just nice, wholesome. I don't know about fun, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. So yeah, let's move on to number 6. Oh, this one, okay. So, no longer allowed in another world. This is number 6 for me. This one is actually a fairly good isekai, okay? This one has an interesting main character. So, our main character, he is basically getting ready to commit suicide with his love. And they get hit by a truck. So, it's the regular isekai getting hit by a truck, getting sent to another world. And whenever he gets sent to the other world, the goddess there basically is like looking through his stats. His stats are very, very low. Like his HP, I can't remember what his HP is. It's like super, super low, like single digits. I'm pretty sure. And he doesn't really have any good ability. So she's like, okay, maybe you should not go defeat the Demon Lord. Because that's what you do in every isekai. You basically, it's like, oh, they summon someone to the world, defeat the Demon Lord, hurrah. But she basically says, oh, maybe you should just live out life here. Like, we can't send you back, but just don't get yourself killed. And since he was trying to kill himself in the other world, he straight up is like, nah, I'll just find a place in this world to kill myself. And he gets to the point where he has a bottle of medicine that he tries to overdose on every once in a while. Then also, if you see the picture to my far side there, he has a bottle of poison he picks up, and he just straight up starts drinking it. And basically trying to kill himself. But it turns out he has a very, very, very high affinity to poisons. That's the reason why if he drinks poison, he doesn't die. If he eats all those medications, he doesn't die. So basically he keeps trying to kill himself, but he can't. Then also I want to show some of these other pictures here I have. Give me one sec. Okay, so up above over here, we have he likes to travel in a coffin. So, he's not dead, is he? He's simply resting in peace. R.I.P. R.I.P. Could you not say that in front of a coffin? So, basically, whenever they travel, he gets in a coffin, and they have ropes that are attached to the coffin that they drag him around in. So, even though he likes to pretend to be dead, he also likes to travel in a coffin. Travel in style. Also, near the end of the series, he does get a driving coffin, a coffin on wheels, as you could say, that he drives around in that goes very fast. So, I kind of lied to you in the very beginning because he does have an ability. So his ability is basically no longer allowed in another world. It's basically storytelling. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But the ability allows him to send other worlders, like the people that are brought to this world in Isekai here, send them back to their own world. And that is the picture I have right here. So he says, no longer allowed in another world. And then, like, all the pages that are around send that person back to the other world. So he turns out from being, oh, I can't do anything in this world, to straight up, oh, I am the savior of this world because I can send people back. And the reason why this is so important, being able to send other worlders back to their own world, is because Otherworlders are jerks. Basically, every Otherworlder gets a really OP ability. That OP ability can, like, oh, there's a person that can duplicate, and he duplicates money and basically ruins the economy. There's the other one that can, like, mind control people. So basically, mind controlling a town, that's always a bad sign. And then there's also like many other people, and there's also people that want to take over the world because there's a group of adventurers that went and they killed the Demon Lord. They beat the Demon Lord. And then they took over the Demon Lord's castle and became the Fallen Angels, and they tried to take over the countries of the world. So, yeah, Otherworlders are jerks. That's the main premise of this, other than our main character. So yeah, that is the main like rundown of the series. I gave away like some plot points, but even that you'll still enjoy the series. But yeah, that is why I liked No Longer Allowed in Another World. It was just a very good series. Seeing a character that basically has no seriousness to him, he plays around about trying to kill himself and like that. Like I like kind of those joking kind of things, like the non-serious. And then also the characters that he's traveling around with, like the elf priestess that was there at the temple that summoned him. The cat girl, and then there's also the boy with the red hair that he's kind of interesting. He's kind of comedic. But yeah, just good characters. I like the good characters. The premise of it is kind of interesting, sending people back to another world with a like, this is not a power fantasy at all. This is like basically the opposite of a power fantasy. This is a guy that has no power at all, other than he cannot die of poison, and he can send people back to their own world. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. This one was very good. So let's move on to number 5. So, number 5 here, we're getting to, like, the heavy hitters. Like, after 5, okay, all these were kind of hard to choose, and really, a few of them could be switched. It's not that hard to switch to them. So, we have 5 Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. So, as I said when we were getting ready to watch this, Fairy Tail the 100-Year Quest follows after the original Fairy Tail series. I think it's a couple years after. And they are going to do the 100 Years Quest, which we heard a little about the 100 Years Quest from the original series because Gildarts tried to do the quest. And it is basically a quest that has not been completed for 100 years. So, what is this 100 Years Quest? We did not hear anything about it in the original series. This series actually lines it out that there are dragon gods that have to be sealed and beaten. And I think there's 5 of them. So, you know who takes up the 100 Years Quest? It's Urza, Gray, Natsu, Lucy, and then I guess Happy, Charla, and so like that. They all take on the 100 Years Quest. Oh, also Wendy. Wendy's also there too. Yeah. So, what are these dragon gods? So, we have a wooden dragon god that is up in the very far corner there. He is a huge, actually the biggest of the dragon gods. And he has, I think it's 5 cities on him. He has 1 on his back, and then on his limbs he has some. And yeah, he's a very big dragon, and a wood dragon. We have not seen Natsu fight it yet, at the point I'm at. But I have a feeling since he's a fire dragon slayer, a wood dragon should be very easy. Then we also have the water dragon right here. There is a human form for this water dragon, and then also the dragon god form. Very powerful. We have seen them fight this one. And then we have the fire dragon god up there. Also has a human form and has the dragon form there. They all have very good designs. I like the designs for all of them. Especially I like the wood dragon. Like, look at that thing. Okay, it's huge. It's a monstrosity. And there are cities that are built on it. That the dragon basically just sits around and they built cities on it. It's cool. It's cool story building. Okay. Let's... Oh, also. In the very beginning, we get a new character. I think that the character's name is Toka. Toka. And she is in the very far corner there, the girl with white hair. And she has an alter ego called the White Mage. The White Mage basically wants to turn all magic white. And what does turning magic white mean? It's basically getting rid of magic. Or I guess she wants to control all magic. So anything that is highly powerful, like anything that has any person that has very large amounts of magic that's very powerful, she basically wants to take control of them. That is basically her premise. So, who else and what else but the dragon gods are like the most powerful things on the other continent, so she wants to take control of them. She wants to take their power. So she first tries to get the water dragon, then she tries the wood dragon, and that is as far as we've gotten so far in the series. Then, that is not all, okay? There are some other new characters that we have in the series. And I'm not going to say their names or anything like that. I'm just going to show you a picture of them here. So they are right here in the middle. And they are dragon eaters. So we have god slayers, we have dragon slayers, we have demon slayers, and we have dragon eaters. So, what are dragon eaters? So dragon slayers slay dragons. Dragon eaters eat dragons. That's basically what they are. They eat dragon magic. So dragon magic, they beat a dragon, they eat its magic. That is what they do, and that's how they get their powers. So we have the armored guy there, that is the armor dragon eater. We have the guy in the middle, that's the ash dragon eater. Then we have the woman in the very far corner there that I love, that is the blade dragon eater. So she used blade dragon magic. Her blade dragon magic can cut anything. And you might think, oh, cut anything? Like, you mean like swords and whatnot? Yeah, I mean that too. But I also mean that she can literally cut your strength. Like, she can cut your confidence. She can cut anything. So, in one fight, she ends up cutting Urza's strength. And she makes her half the strength she usually is, which makes her very, very weak. Like, Urza's already strong, but like cutting down her strength by half, that's a lot. That's a lot. She also tries to do it to someone else that I will not say because I don't want to ruin it. But yeah. The Ash Dragon Eater there, he can turn anything to ash. Cool. The Armor Dragon Eater there, he's just very, very strong, okay? And don't ask me why there's an Armor Dragon or a Blade Dragon. Ash Dragon I can kind of see, okay? Blade and Armor, I don't really see how there's a Blade and Armor Dragon, okay? I'm just imagining a dragon in a suit of armor, and then a dragon that has blades all over its body. And that's what I'm imagining. But yeah, 100-Year Quest, it's pretty action heavy because like a lot of fighting's happening. And I just enjoy seeing more Fairy Tail. I really enjoyed Fairy Tail whenever it was airing, and I was just happy to see more Fairy Tail. And all these new characters are pretty interesting. I think the White Mage is a very, very powerful character because Zareth, I think he was the Black Mage, he was like the main bad of the original series. Now we have the White Mage, and she's pretty powerful too. And then we have the Dragon Gods. That's always interesting. And I was always interested in the 100-Year Quest because they did not give us any information on it in the original series. So yeah, pretty interesting. The series is still airing right now, so we will have to wait to see all the other stuff. But yeah. So let's move on to number 4. Ah, yes, this one. Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. So, let's just go over the premise of the series. Just get that out of the way first. So, premise of the series. Alia there, the white-haired chick in the poster or picture there, she is part Russian. She's like Japanese Russian. And sometimes, whenever she doesn't want to say her feelings, she says it in Russian so that people can't understand it. Well, most people can't understand it because Alia there, she being one of our main characters. Our other main character is the guy that is sitting in the back or standing in the back. And guess what? He understands Russian. So, he sits right next to Alia, and she will sometimes say things like, "Oh, you're cute," or stuff like that, or "Oh, you can't be that cute," or "Oh, I can't remember what other stuff she says." Embarrassing stuff that you don't want to say out loud. And she'll say that in Russian, and thinking, "Oh, no one can understand me." And our main character, our guy there, our guy main character, is like, "Oh my gosh, she doesn't know I understand Russian." And you know what he does? He does not tell her. He does not tell her that he can understand Russian, which continues to be a running gag in this series. But I'll say this. Alia is not quite my favorite character in the series. So, if you see this meme here that's right next to me, okay? So, it's basically you jumping from car to car, okay? So, first episode, you think, "Oh, Alia is such a great character," okay? And then the next character is his sister. I forget the sister's name off the top of my head, but the sister is very cute, okay? But then that's the best girl, okay? And then episode 3, the first half, you see, oh, actually, no, Alia is the best character. And then you're like, no, the second half of the third episode, it's Alia's sister. Alia's sister, the light brown-haired one there, she is actually pretty good too. So basically, every episode you're kind of jumping between, oh, which is the best character? Which is the best? And it's always changing. Okay, so, oh, Yuki, that's a girl. I see the other meme up there. So, reasons why Yuki is best girl. She wakes you up every day. She's cute. She's the best. She's an otaku girl that fans over, like, anime and stuff like that. She has a sad backstory, and then she also has a yandere smile, as you can see there. Yeah, she is best. Yuki's best. Now, for our main guy, no, of course, I'm not gonna talk about incest or anything like that. But if you look over to the side here, up above, there is a time where she wakes up her brother by laying on him like that, and she likes to mess around with him, like saying he's like cute and whatnot, and that she likes him. Then also, part of the reason why Yuki does not have a filter. So if you look over to the side here, she literally just like rubs her face between the boobas of her maid and says, "Titties are truly great." So that is part of the reason why Yuki is best girl. Now, for our main character, of course Anya. For us as the cast, not a cast, us as the watchers, it's Yuki. So yeah, basically, it's just Alia, saying stuff in Russian. Our main character being like, "Oh, I can understand it." Oh, also, there's a whole student council thing that's happening because Alia wants to become student council president, and our main guy character is helping her out. But Yuki, the main guy character's sister, is also running for president. So he chooses to help Alia out to try to be class president. Yeah, that's the whole series. Now, the characters are very good. I like the animation for it, and I'm going to say it again. The characters are great, okay? The characters are just great. That, and there is one episode where he ends up hypnotizing Alia and her sister, and it's just great. So, yeah, very good series. Very enjoyable. Pretty good comedy. Gets serious at times, especially when Yuki gets all yandere. Yeah, I would highly recommend this. Highly recommend it. It was one of my favorites of the series. So yeah, let's move on to number 3. Number 3, Oshi no Ko. Oshi no Ko, the first season was great for this, especially the first episode. First episode was great. So Oshi no Ko season 2 basically continues on from where we left off from the first season, where they are kind of getting into more of the idol and like actress actor story because they get their first big acting gig, or I guess Aqua gets his first big acting gig, and it is a manga or a light novel. I can't remember. I think it's a light novel. No, it's definitely a manga that gets animated into a theater play, and him and most of the other cast, except for Ruby, get put into this play, and they are basically doing. They're just getting ready for the play. Okay, that's part of the thing. Like the first few episodes is them getting ready for the play, all the backstage stuff about that. Then, of course, the play itself, which is beautiful. That's like kind of like samurai-based fighting kind of stuff. And just seeing all the characters go through this is very wonderful. Then, near the very end of the season, they end up going back to the original. They go back to the place where Aqua's previous incarnation died. The doctor, like he was a doctor before he got reincarnated as Aqua, and he goes back to where the doctor died, the town. And Ruby is also died in that town in the hospital as a patient. So they both go back to this town, and they're trying to keep it quiet about how they know so much about the town. And this is a big spoiler, but Ruby ends up finding the corpse of the doctor, Aqua's last incarnation, and she straight up like, okay, you know how Aqua's eye goes from white to black, like it's the white star to black star. Ruby goes like that, and she goes straight up like she has lost all hope because she loved the doctor. Yeah. So yeah, there's some big stuff that happens here. It's just a good series. I would like. It's one of those things. If you don't like idol culture at all, then you probably would not enjoy the series. But if you're very big into idol culture, or you like some people, you'll love it. You'll love it a lot. It's just a lot of backstage idol stuff and like seeing these kids go through the motions of theater work and acting and whatnot. So, we have some memes here. So female tips, okay? Hide your mental illness by acting like his mom. So, yeah, that's what she does, okay? She hides mental illness by acting like Aqua's mom. That was messed up, but it was very interesting. Then we have the other side here that is basically everyone like, oh, I like Ruby. Oh, I like this person. I like this person. And it's like, I like the MILF. That's basically it. It's like, oh, I like these three characters, and it's like, no, MILF. So yeah, Oshinoko. If you like idol culture or you like acting, theater, kind of stuff like that, you'll really like this. And especially if you like theater work and drama, you'll like this season a lot more because most of it's theater. So yeah, okay, let's move on to number 2. This is going to be a long one. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff here because there was a lot that happened in Season 7 of My Hero Academia. So, number 2, we have My Hero Academia Season 7. So, we're going to slowly go, like, basically episode at a time at what happens in this. So, if you are highly invested in My Hero Academia and you do not want to hear this, I would highly just leave. But I'm going to go through a lot of plot things and say how much I love all of it. So, first, okay, the first episode. We got teased in the end of last season that Stars and Stripes, the #1 hero from the United States, is going to be coming to Japan to fight Shigaraki. So, if you see in the very corner, very, very far corner, right underneath number 2, we have Stars and Stripes. She's wonderful, okay? I love the character, and she has the quirk, Order, the Order or something like that. It's Order something. But she can basically change some property of the world. So if she says like her name, like if she says her name and she's touching herself, well, I guess she doesn't have to touch herself. She's already herself. She can make herself strong. She can make herself as strong as All Might. She can touch the air and make the air heavy in an area. She can touch a laser beam and turn it into a spear to like attack people with. She can touch someone and basically make it like, oh, you can't breathe. like she can only do 2 at a time, okay? She can only do 2 orders at a time. But it is a very, very cool quirk. I would have loved to see a lot more of it. Then we're going to move on. I'm not going to ruin everything about that. I just wanted to gush about Stars and Stripes because she is an insane character. Then we're going to move on. So they end up getting All For One, Shigaraki, and basically all the League of Villains and everyone else, all the villains, in one place. And then they end up teleporting them using the warp ability to different areas. So they try to separate All For One, Shigaraki, Toga, Dabi, everyone. They try to separate them into smaller groups because if they try to take All For One, Dabi, Shigaraki, Toga, and all of them at the same time, it's impossible. So they separate them. They separate them to like Toga goes to an island, Dabi gets sent to a city, like the ruined city, I think, where All For One fought, I'm pretty sure. All For One gets sent to some country, like it's out in the middle of nowhere, like out in the boonies, like out near a mountain and forest and whatnot. And Shigaraki gets teleported to the UA Flying Fortress. What is the UA Flying Fortress? I'm glad you asked. So if you look above me here, you will see the UA Flying Fortress. So it is basically UA school flying. And it also has a force field around it to keep Shigaraki inside. It's flying because if Shigaraki touches the ground, he can use decay. So they want to keep him flying to keep him out of Decay's range. And then the force field to keep him inside the school. They also have Eraserhead looking at Shigaraki so he cannot use any quirks. And then they have multiple different heroes inside there fighting Shigaraki. They were trying to get Deku in there, but Toga ended up pulling him in a different portal and bringing him with her. But yeah, the UA Flying Fortress is insane. It is an engineering feat that is wonderful and just awesome. It is basically the combined effort of a ton of different people. Because they're using a ton of people with electricity quirks to power the force field, and then also the flying aspect, the levitating aspect of it. They have Eraserhead making sure that Shigaraki cannot use his quirks. Then we also have characters inside that are continuously building and repairing it so that whenever a piece gets destroyed, it instantly gets repaired. So it is an engineering marvel. That is all I'm going to say about the UA Flying Fortress. Next, we're going to talk about Dabi. So there is a major plot point that is finally being ended. So, you know that Dabi is actually Endeavor's son, Todoroki's brother. So, if you look in the very far corner over there, that big blue orb that kind of looks like Aang's ice orb from Avatar, that big fire orb of blue fire is Dabi getting as hot as he can, cooking people, and also cooking himself. So, Dabi fights Todoroki, and then also he ends up fighting Endeavor, and also Endeavor's rest of his family, like his other kids and also his wife. They also end up going there, and they all take on Dabi to fight him. And it is such a... Okay, the Endeavor's Todoroki's family is so messed up. You know this if you've watched the rest of My Hero. And just seeing all of them come together to fight Dobby was insane. And then also seeing Dobby get that hot and gets that close to basically going supernova was insane. That is a very cool part of the series. I loved it. Another part that I loved. So, if you look at this gentleman right here, white hair, very, very good features, okay? And also has, like, it looks like yellow fire or stuff around him. So, you might not recognize that, but that's a person that we know of. That is All for One. All for One, during the fight with Endeavor and Hawks, gets to the point where he is so badly damaged that he uses one of those bullets that Inri had that rewinds people. He uses it on himself. And it rewinds him to basically to his prime. That is prime All for One, okay? That is golden years All for One, where he is basically the strongest he ever was. The golden days. Or I guess the dark days for everyone else in the world. Yeah, so he does that, and he gets very, very powerful. And just seeing prime golden years All for One, it's awesome, okay? I am a major person that I end up loving villains, okay? Villains, especially that have great backstories like All for One, love it, okay? The Demon Lord right there, All for One, love him, okay? I love him better than some of the main cast of our school of UA. And just seeing him going all out with all his power, it is great, okay? I love it. And he just keeps rewinding. And he eventually gets to the point where he is a little bit younger, like, think young adult, okay? He does get to a young adult version, and that's all we've seen so far until the next season. Okay, next one, okay? So, we're also staying here on my side. So, if you look down here, okay, what is this picture, you might think, okay? This picture is a ton of duplicated Twices. So, Twice, being a character that died in the series already, he had the duplicate ability where he could basically just multiply himself. He could just keep dividing and make tons of himself. And you might be thinking, so, you just said he died, like, a while ago. How is he right here? And the answer is that is not him, but it is Toga that Toga can eat people's blood and turn into them. She had a little bit of a piece of Twice's blood, and she took it. And then she ends up doing Sad Man's Parade Unlimited, basically. And this is tons and tons and tons of duplicated Twices that are making mountains and floods and waves and whatnot. And it is impossible. It basically overwhelms everyone on the battlefield. It is an insane ability. And Toga, since she had the blood, she can just use it. Not infinitely. Like, she eventually can't use it anymore. But that was so insane. That was another high point of the series, okay? Just seeing Toga turning into Twice. And I just love Toga anyways. But yeah. Sad Man's Parade Unlimited. Wonderful, wonderful. Then we're going to look at my side here. So, we have Armored All Might, okay? Armored All Might. So, you know that All Might lost his power because he gave it to Deku. That happened very, very early on in the series, so that's not hard to imagine. So, All Might feels like he is basically not really worthless, but to the point where he can't really do much. So, he gets armor, okay? And this is very, very, very high-powered armor because it basically, it makes him close to as powerful as he was with his quirk. And he goes against, not really Prime All for One, the young adult All for One. He goes against him. And we have not seen the conclusion of the fight because it's going to happen next season. But Armored All Might was great. That and each piece of the armor, he takes inspiration from each of the characters from UA school. Because, like, the boot or whatever, he does it like shoot style, kind of like Deku does, the kick. He has I forgot all the other things, but like basically each ability he uses is based on a different kid from UA. So it's just a cool, like the armor itself is the combination of him and UA school. So it's very cool. And the armor is pretty cool too. So yeah, that is, I'm not going to ruin any more of the series, the season, I guess. But those are the high points that I saw from the season, and it was a very good season. This is probably my favorite season since I don't know when. Because like there's some seasons that are like, oh, there's cool pieces, but not the whole season is great. This is basically the whole season's great. Oh, I also want to mention that at one point the flying fortress was falling, and Gentle Criminal catches it and like holds it up. And I just want to say that Gentle Criminal is wonderful. I love the man. If you don't remember Gentle Criminal, he basically has like the trampoline kind of ability. He can like make discs of air solid, and he can like kind of trampoline on them. And he makes one underneath the whole flying fortress and holds it up for like a couple minutes until they can fire back up the levitating. But yeah, just great. So that's why number 2 I had My Hero Academia. So let's move on to my number 1 pick. Do I hear boss music? Yeah, so my number 1 pick here is my dear friend Nokotan. So, Shikanoko. This is a great series. I love it. It is basically a shitpost of a series. Basically, everything is weird and nothing makes sense. And yeah. So, basically, my dear friend Shikanoko, it is about our dear our dear girl here that is Shikanoko, or a Nokotan. And yes, she's a dear girl. And for some reason, she has antlers. I could not tell you why she is a girl and she has antlers, because to the kind of deer that she's based on, the females do not have antlers. I just want to say that, because I looked it up. I wanted to make sure. Yeah. And it's basically life, because they make the Deer Club. And the Deer Club consists of our main characters, which is the blonde girl, I think that's her sister, the darker hair, like the kind of black, purple, red hair. Then we have Basemi Meme, the green-haired girl, which is wonderful. I love her. And then we have Nokotan there, our dear girl, Shikanoko. There's also other characters that end up going in there from like the student council, but they're not as needed in the series. But there's the Deer Club, and basically the Deer Club, they take care of deer. The deer being Shikanoko. And yeah, there's lots of weird stuff that happens. And then also Shikanoko has many, many weird abilities. Like, I want to show you this picture over here. So my picture below me here, you can see that Shikanoko can kind of take off the top half of her head, and she hides deer crackers in it. Yeah, that's apparently something that she can do. Then also, I just want to show you these deer that are like somewhat realistic looking deer. They look very off considering everyone else's animation style, and it's hilarious. And also, I just noticed, but there's a male and a female one. The female one does not have antlers there, so why does Shikanoko have antlers? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, then we have this picture here, which shows you the anatomy of Shikanoko. So, what is Shikanoko? Well, she has basically a nuclear reactor in her head. She has nuclear waste in one of her horns. And then she also has the control rods in her head with fuel assembly and control drive mechanisms in the nuclear power plant, producing around 900 megawatts of power. And then in the opposite antler, we have a fan, We have Saddam Hussein and his air vent, and then we also have food, water, and supplies. So Saddam Hussein is hiding inside Chikanoko. Yes, it is wonderful. I love it. And then also we have a picture up there that shows all the girls from my dear friend Nokotan and the Doki Doki Literature Club opening. Then if we find the other side here, the very bottom, we have Basami Meme, which Basami Meme, basically Basami, her main gimmick is that she likes rice. So I had to add a picture of her looking very ecstatic about eating rice. And I just want to say there's one episode where we finally get to see her rice farm. That's one of my favorite episodes. Just seeing her because we see her going around and working on her rice farm in episodes. Like, we'll see her every once in a while. And then, I can't remember if it's episode 7. It feels like it's episode 7 or 8. That she ends up showing us her rice farm. And it's nice. It's nice. Then, if you understand why I had the boss music and said why I was hearing boss music, if you look in the very top corner there, right below the number 1, we have an Elden Ring inspired Nokotan picture there, which is basically us fighting Nokotan. And since it's Elden Ring, we have the kind of like our weapons there. We have a deer antler, we have a brush, and then also we have deer crackers to help fight her. Yeah. And I will say this, Nokotan Shikanoko is definitely an Elden Ring threat. Yeah. So Shikanoko is just a great series. It's just a lot of comedy. I enjoyed it a lot. Also, I just want to tell you that she can also use her. The reason why one of her horns is a nuclear waste repository is because she can use it as like a grenade and throw it and it explodes. Yeah, that's a thing. She can throw her antlers like grenades. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff she can do. Oh, she can also take her antlers off and turn them to a lightsaber. That's another thing that happens. What else happens? She also sometimes goes to the zoo and stays with her friend the deer that live there. And you might think, what are you talking about? And I'm like, just go watch the series. It's a shitpost. It is basically weird stuff happens all the time. There's no reason to explain it. The next episode, nothing becomes of it. No one, like anyone else in the class, if any of this weird stuff happens, pretends like it does not happen. So, yeah, I feel like every episode is its own continuity. But yeah, that was my top 10 like anime of the summer season of 2024. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this kind of gives you some idea of like how good these series are. This might give you a want to watch some of these series, like Shikanoko, Oshinoko, all the other series. I was like, let's look through them. Yes, My Hero Academia Season 7. Great. Oshinoko, yes, Alia sometimes hides her feelings. Great. Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest. A lot of people don't like Fairy Tail. I'm still an enjoyer of it. So it's pretty good. No Longer Allowed Another World. That is a pretty good isekai. I think that's probably one of the better isekais this season. Then My Wife Has No Emotions. Very wholesome. I would recommend it if you just want a wholesome show to watch. And then Failure Frame. Alright. Time Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Just to get ready for the next season. Probably should watch it, and also some stuff happens. Then Plus Sized Elf. I just want to tell you again that there is nudity in it. So before you watch it, and before you say, oh, you never said anything about that. No, there is, and it happens pretty soon, and it happens all the time. I don't think there's even a censored version. I don't think there is. But yeah, that is my top 10. So I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time when we do, I guess, the fall anime. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. So, bye-bye.